Hello, vinyl community, and thank you once again for tuning in to Mike's Vinyl Experience. Thank you for being here today. Today I want to do a short video for my second video of 2024 to kind of let you guys know the process that I've currently adopted to purchase new vinyl. With the ever increasing cost of vinyl, as we all know, it's really shaped how I purchase vinyl. From days gone by, I would impulse buy an awful lot because vinyl wasn't so necessarily expensive. Maybe, back in the early 2000s through the 2010 through 20. But realistically, and maybe even since COVID, things have really gone crazy expensive in the vinyl world, as all of you obviously know. So today, I just kind of want to break down to you kind of what I'm doing and how I'm making decisions on the vinyl that I buy and even the digital that I buy, whether it be high resolution downloads, CD, SACD, and so forth. I've kind of changed it, throughout the years based on, my budget for music. And this year it's going to be a lot different because I probably scaled back just a little bit on my vinyl purchasing because I mentioned in my last video, I've got the upgrade bug in a bad way for my audio system. And by the way, we are going to be doing a room tour very soon. As you can see, I'm actually in my audio room right now and it's coming along. We're nowhere near being done. But we're coming along with it. I'm getting to a point where I can actually do a somewhat of a room tour and kind of give you an idea of what I've got going on, and maybe even talk a little bit about what I plan on doing in the future, hopefully the near future. But anyway, the cost of vinyl is just crazy. And so when you consider, let me just show you a couple of examples of why I'm talking about this today and why I kind of want to go through the process that I'm using to purchase vinyl. For example, this is one of the latest box sets that I have purchased. Of course, it's a repress. It's an audiophile grade repress. This is $150. I know that many of you are involved with purchasing these as well. But this is $150. So this takes a little bit of effort to budget to buy this, because for $150, I can buy what? 4 Tone Poet, Blue Note Tone Poet albums, maybe the same amount, Acoustic Sound Series, jazz albums, so forth. Rhino Records is doing some really neat things with their high fidelity albums. They're around, $40, $50. But this is $150. So it's pretty expensive. And I bought a few of them lately. I did a video on this not too long ago on Van Halen's The One Step of this album. And while they're great, this is $124, I believe, $125, something like that. And while they're great, you really have to really take into consideration, are they worth it? What do you get for $120 or $150? And that's probably a separate video altogether, and what you're getting for that kind of money. And we'll talk about that at a later video, but these are pricey. And so I want to talk a little bit about the process that I'm currently using, that I've kind of morphed into, adopted, whatever you will. Nothing scientific at all, but at least I can give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm currently doing and how I judge on what I'm going to buy and what I'm going to pass on. I broke this up into 2 parts. The first part is purchasing vinyl, digital CDs, whatever it might be, on groups or artists that I'm not totally familiar with. I've got a little process for that I'd like to talk about. And really, to start that off, is how do you discover that new music? How do you discover new things, new artists, new groups, whatever it might be, that you're not familiar with? And you can even include into that new labels, new vinyl labels. And I've done a lot of purchasing of records just because of labels. I used to do that a lot with Mobile Fidelity, and not to mention Analog Productions, but I've had to watch that a little bit because, number one, of the sheer cost. But how I discover new music? Well, one of the things that's gone back for a long time for me is reading magazines like, and nowadays digital magazines like Stereophile, The Absolute Sound, Positive Feedback. Going through and looking, at the end of each one of those magazines, they have, they'll do a series of reviews on jazz and popular music and even classical music. And then when you read audio equipment reviews, which is what I've been doing a lot of lately, because indicated I kind of want to upgrade my audio system a bit, they have those reviews of the equipment that you're reviewing, speakers, pure amps, turntables, whatever it might be. And then they talk about the albums in there which they utilized and what they heard as they heard those albums. I've actually done some research and done some listening to some of those recommendations, and I've actually bought some of the albums that they recommended. Most of them are stuff, some are certainly stuff that I've heard and are familiar with, and there's others that I am not. That's one way that I learned about new artists, new music, and so forth, new labels, if you will. The second method, and I've used this method for a long, long time, and it's been great, audio shows. Going to audio shows, like for the longest time, I would attend the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I started doing that in the, early 80s, mid 80s, something like that. And have done it ever since, probably 2017, 2018, which is basically when the high-end audio portion of the consumer electronics vanished. And so I started going to these other shows. There's one in Southern California called The Show. Expona coming up in April. That's a fun one to go to, and I'm hoping to do that this April. In fact, I'm just thinking about getting tickets to that. And then one that I'm trying, like the Dickens, to talk my wife into is the high-end show in Munich, Germany. I really want to go see that one. I think that would be a really neat. But I've had huge success on finding new music at these high-end audio shows that I've been able to do. And I'd like to include in that high-end audio shows trips to audio salons, audio dealers, where you're demoing a set of speakers, an amplifier, so forth, whatever it might be, the music that they play, and you go, God, that sounds nice. What is that? But anyway, the Consumer Electronics Show for a long time was one of my biggest sources of new music for me in the high-end audiophile world. One of the biggest titles that I found was back, I believe, let me just check to make sure I'm not giving you wrong information, was back in 2016 at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I went into the Martin Logan room, and they were displaying their $100,000 statement speakers. And when I walked in there, Michael Fremer was in there, and he pulled out this album and had them play it. This is Magna Tagliaferro, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This isn't the exact pressing that Michael had. He had the Electric Recording Company's version of this. And I know they go for $450, and of course, by the time I got to where I found out what this album was and looked to see what I could find, of course, they were all sold out anyway. Not that I could have afforded $450 for this album, but I found this on, I believe, Discogs, maybe it came from eBay, and I think I paid a couple $100 for this. This is an original Thompson pressing of this album. It's classical music, and I'm not a classical music guy in any way, shape, or form, but it sounds absolutely wonderful. I came home, I found out what that was, and I immediately did my search. One of the other albums that I found at CES, this was in the, mid-2000s. This is an SACD of Claire Marlowe, Let It Go. Now, I realize they just released an audiophile edition, 45 RPM version of this album. I can't remember the label that it's on, but it is not, I believe this initially was on Cisco, yeah. But I do not know what label that's on, and it's $119, where I do love the album. It's incredible sounding. The music is wonderful. It's dynamic as all get out. But the music is wonderful. But I don't know if I'm going to spend $119 and pick that up or not. But it just came out. But that was a discovery. And one of my favorite jazz discoveries came in the 2017 Consumer Electronics Show, Sonny Clark Memorial Quartet Voodoo. This is absolutely my favorite Sonny Clark album. This album is wonderful. It's got some of the best darn jazz music I have ever heard on this album. I absolutely love it. And this was a find at the Consumer Electronics Show. And so that was really a cool thing, to have the ability to find new music that way. I enjoyed that. Even when you were in a big crowded room and you heard something that they were playing and you couldn't get up to find out what it was because it could have been digital, a CD that you couldn't really see that they were displaying, or even a vinyl record that they had obscurely hidden, I would get on my phone and Shazam it so that I could find out what in the world is that song that they're playing and who is that artist, because I want to get it. And so that was one of the ways that I picked up and found out about new artists, new music, new labels. The third way that I have been able to find new artists and new music is through YouTube and through the vinyl community. And I've been relying heavily on that as of late. So that's you people out there. I've had so many people in my comments on my videos suggest albums, which I absolutely love and I'm grateful for. And I'm going to tell you the process of how I vet that information to see if it's an album I wanted to buy. I had a gentleman just recently suggest this album, Woody Shaw, Blackstone Legacy. And I listened to it on the process that I'm going to tell you about, and I purchased it. I went out and bought it because it's a great album. Another one, and I don't know if I'm going to get this name right, Fine's Newborn Jr., A World of Piano Acoustic Sounds on the Acoustic Sounds series. I've got that ordered and it's coming. That's a great one. So you people on YouTube, thank you for suggesting music. And I'm watching videos of the other YouTube part of the vinyl community folks and getting information and listening to that music that you're suggesting. So I greatly appreciate it. So when I hear something or receive a suggestion, how do I know that I'm going to like the entire album? Is it an album that I'm going to purchase and just play one time and put back into my collection? I've done that a lot through the years. I've done that a ton. And I'm getting to the point where I don't want to do that a whole lot anymore. And this is the reason why I've kind of come up with this plan. So when I get a suggestion, here's something of maybe one song, how do I vet that? What I typically do is I jump on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever form that I can find, and hopefully it's on there. I go to YouTube a lot as well, and listen to the album and determine, okay, this is good sound. Now, granted, you get on Spotify and some of those, you're looking at what, 320 kilobytes? I mean, you're looking at CD quality, if that, and probably not even that. And so you're not listening to sound quality, but you're listening to the music. And do I like that music? Is it something that I enjoyed listening to? If I purchase this record, am I going to be wanting to listen to it? Yes, this has really helped me curb my purchasing on just buying stuff that, hey, it sounds great, I'll get it. The cover looks good, I'll get it, put it on my turntable, play it. You know what? Put it back in my collection. My collection's grown because I've done that. But really, with the cost of records, I've kind of slowed down on that process just a little bit. Lastly, once in a while, and I'll do this every once in a while, but not very much anymore, impulse buy. See something that looks good. Maybe it's from a label that but you really don't know the artist that well. And buy it. I do this very infrequently. I have a little bit more of a habit doing that when I'm at a record store. For example, here in just a few days, we're traveling down to Scottsdale, Arizona to see family. And I'm going to head over to Mike's place, the In Groove, and do a little shopping there. But relatively, I don't impulse buy a whole lot. I typically go to record stores with a list in mind of what I'm looking for as I'm browsing, and once in a while, and it happens, I'll impulse buy and buy a couple of things. So that's really the way that I purchase music that's new to me. I vet it out through a process using Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, where I can actually listen to the music and get an idea, okay, that is a good album. I like that. That sounds good. I'll want that. Knowing full initially that the sound quality that you're listening to on those forums isn't going to be perfect. And I've never had a situation where I've even listened to high-res audio files, CDs, SADs, where very few times have the sound quality of those mediums beat out vinyl. It just doesn't happen. Vinyl is where I want to be. Vinyl is what I prefer to purchase, just because of the sound quality. The next part of my video is reissue vinyl, which is where I've been for a long time. I've been focusing a lot on reissue vinyl, and I've got a little bit of a process there, and I've got some examples that I'm going to show you that I do. I purchase a lot, probably more reissue vinyl than I do new vinyl. And that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. But let me kind of just express to you and show you kind of the process I'm using for purchasing and deciding what to get on reissue vinyl. And typically those reissue vinyls are audiophile labels, Mobile Fidelity, Analog Productions, Speakers Corner, Impex, the Rhino High Fidelity. There's Groove Note. There's so many out there currently. Craft Recording, One Steps. There's so many out there right now, and they're all doing a fantastic job, by the way. Like I've told you before in these videos, this is a great time to be a vinyl collector because there's so many options out there. Vinyl is being pressed now more than it really ever has, unless you go back to the 70s. I mean, it has really had a resurgence, and it's really a fun hobby to be in. So anyway, but you got to be cautious. You can't just blind buy everything, or at least like I did for a long time. You've got to have a little bit of a process to afford what you want to get and be satisfied with what you're purchasing. One of the big, audiophile labels, and I think they're audiophile labels for sure. I've been buying a lot of Tone Poet, Blue Note Tone Poet series, a lot of the Craft OJCs I've been getting, even some of the Blue Note Classic series. I've been gathering some of those, not all by any means, but just the ones that I like, that I vet out through and decide if I'm going to like that album. But really, when you purchase an album that you've already got, say you've got an original pressing of something, and we get a new pressing, audiophile pressing coming out of that same title. The process that I'm currently using is, and it's nothing scientific, do you love the album? Is it something that you really love, that you want to pay, in the case of, a Mobile Fidelity One Step, $125, an Analog Productions UHQR, $150. Is it something that you absolutely love? And is the benefits of better sound quality, hopefully it's going to be better sound quality, you don't know for sure, but is it going to be worth that additional investment over what you already have? If you've already got the vinyl, let me give you a quick example of that. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. This album here is a Classic Records recording that I have. I have an original, but I bought this years and years ago. This Classic Records recording. I love this album. This is one of my favorite Crosby, Stills, and Nash, along with Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young on that one. But along with that, that's one of my favorite albums. Well, now, about a year ago, Mobile Fidelity came out with the one step of this. I didn't buy it. The reason I didn't buy it, yes, I'll be honest, it had a part to do with the digital step that they use, but this sounds phenomenal. I love this album, one of my favorites. So naturally you're thinking, okay, I probably should be getting the one step. I passed on it. Now we know Atlantic 75 and Analogue Productions is coming out with this album in probably sometime this year, I'm assuming. They haven't really announced when that's going to be coming out. I'll probably end up buying it. Why? Because I know what Analogue Productions is doing and how the other Atlantic 75 Analogue Production albums have sounds, how they sound on the ones that I've already purchased. I haven't purchased them all. I'm not a subscriber. I wish I had the money to do that, but I'm not. I purchased the ones that I really, truly like. And the ones that I purchased, all sound phenomenal. Is it going to be better than that classic records? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will be or not. Is it even going to be close enough that I would regret spending my $60 on it? I got some decisions to make along those lines. You got to decide if the album is worth purchasing again. And that's one of the key elements that I'm trying to overcome. There's some pressings like Steely Dan Asia. I just showed the UHQR. I've got 5 or 6 pressings of that album, different pressings, because I love the album so much. I want the very best. And I believe the UHQR is currently the very best. But I pass on a lot of albums because the one that I've got's already sounds great, and I don't know that I listen to it that often. Let me give you an example on that. Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Now, this is part of the Atlantic 75 and Analogue Productions series that they're doing. This is $120 Analogue Productions, Atlantic 75, 45 RPM. I believe there's 4 albums in it because it's a double album. But I didn't purchase that one. I didn't because this is my original. And as you can tell, I hope you can see that okay. It's worn. My cover's not in the best of shape. But the albums, the vinyl is pristine. And it sounds great. But it's not an album that I pull out of my collection and listen to on a regular basis. And so I have to really sit down and decide $120 for this brand new pressing on a record that I will probably play when I get it, maybe even do a review and a comparison here on YouTube on my channel, and then it goes back into my record collection and I don't pull it out that much. So I've kind of stopped that process. I'm only repurchasing the ones, I should say, audiophile repressings, vinyl reissues of the albums that I absolutely love. If I'm satisfied with the vinyl, there's a chance, like this Crosby, Stills and Nash, that I may just pass and not worry about it because I'm satisfied with the sound of what I've already got. And I've got a lot of original pressings of different albums that sound phenomenal that I've chosen to pass on. John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. I've got the Acoustic Sound Series version of that album. I didn't spend $150 and buy the UHQR. I like the album. I think it sounds super nice. The Acoustic Sound Series sounds very good, but it's not an album I reach for and play an awful lot. Not my favorite John Coltrane album. So I'm very cautious about what I spend my money on. If it's an album, once again, I enjoy, I love, I'm going to probably purchase the audiophile reissue of it. But a lot of them I'm going to pass on. Lately with the Atlantic 75 Analogue Production Series, I've been buying more than, I've not bought them all like I've said, but I've been probably buying at least 2 out of the 3 that get released each month, which is what I've done this month. Otis Redding, The Dock of the Bay is coming. Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. I'm coming. I'll be doing some videos on that. But there's a lot of reissues that I will definitely pass on because what I've got sounds great. Thank you once again for watching. Please stay tuned to my channel. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. As indicated before in my videos, please leave your comments in the comment section below. What process are you using to select the vinyl that you purchase? I'm not like a lot of the folks out in the vinyl community that have a ton of money that I can devote just to my vinyl purchasing experience. So I got to watch it, and I suspect there's a lot of you out there that are like me that have got to be fairly cautious on what you're purchasing. What is your process? How is it working for you? I'd love to know. Help me make better decisions as well. And please keep suggesting things to me that you like. That's why I learn new music. I hope that I've kind of shed a little bit of light on some of the methods that I've used. Nothing scientific, just what I'm currently doing to try to save $1 here and there and not purchase records that are going to sit on my shelf and not get pulled out much. So I hope I've been a help to you. Please be a help to me and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Upcoming videos, as you can see, I'm in my audio room, so I'm getting to the point where I can actually do a room tour. That's coming up. I've got, as indicated just a second ago, I got some reviews on some albums that are coming up. The Vanessa Fernandez Remember Me album should be coming very shortly. I'm going to be doing a review on that. That's a new album. That's a new album of hers on Groove Note label. Dave Brubeck Quartet, Time Further Out on Impex. I'm going to do a review on that. The Lou Donaldson Tone Poet, Midnight Creeper. I'm gearing up for a review on that one as well. Great music. I'm excited for 2024. Thank you for watching today. Have a great day.